On the day I turned 18, while leisurely wandering through an antique street, I suddenly awakened to the extraordinary ability of object telepathy. The shopkeeper was engaged in conversation with his assistant about a tortoise he had kept for years, lamenting, "I can only accompany it for another 20 or 30 years. What will happen to it after that?" At that moment, I distinctly heard the tortoise in the glass tank beside him mutter, "You are just as sentimental as your great-grandfather." Nearby, a voice emerged from the shelves, articulating a critique of the music playing in the shop. Off to romantic Turkey, and then to Tokyo and Paris? Oh, dear God. None of those places are on the way. Having journeyed from Europe to this mysterious eastern land, no one understands geography better than I. As I absent-mindedly touched the ornament around my neck, I finally comprehended that the wheels of fate had begun to turn. One. As the saying goes, what is bestowed by heaven, if not seized, will bring misfortune. Thus, having awakened this peculiar ability, I became a live-streaming host specializing in uncovering hidden treasures in the realm of antiques. Glancing at my phone's live broadcast interface, I noticed the number of online viewers hovering around 200. Comments occasionally flickered across the screen. Uncovering treasures at Lillikang? How naive. There's hardly any genuine article there. The entire street is filled with counterfeit goods. That's not entirely accurate. Back in the Republic era, if you bought a Ming Dynasty small bowl, the shopkeeper would throw in 2 everyday bowls from the Daguan period. Even his prize cup is from the Yongjing era. During the Reform and Opening Up period, it was even more remarkable. Every piece of porcelain from the Kangxi, Yongjing, and Qianlong reigns was authentic, not a single counterfeit among them. Well, you did mention the past. The young lady is naturally beautiful. Even without filters, she can boldly venture into the realm of aesthetics. After a brief glance, I had no intention of engaging in conversation. Instead, I stepped directly into a nearby shop. The middle-aged proprietor was tidying stacks of ancient coinage while chatting with his assistant. "I'm getting old. I can only accompany this tortoise for another 20 or 30 years. What will happen to it after that?" The tortoise in the glass tank beside him slowly murmured, "You are just as sentimental as your great-grandfather." I nearly stifled a laugh. Upon noticing me, the owner, seeing a young girl before him, immediately began to enthusiastically promote his wares. "My dear, you've come at just the right time. This batch of ancient coins is quite remarkable. 3 whole cloth money, Qin half-tails, and great coin 50. If you can uncover just one, it's a windfall. I see we have a connection. I'll let you have a tube for 1,000 yuan. As he spoke, he handed me a screwdriver specifically designed for prying open the tubes of coins. The so-called tube money is essentially ancient copper currency, often found buried in piles or strings, which over time rusts and adheres together, forming the shape of a tube. Opening these tubes is akin to gambling with jade. Both are high-stakes endeavors. I took my time, opting to listen first. I wonder how my fellow coins, forged alongside me in the same batch, are faring now. The vast majority of voices echoed similar sentiments. However, there were indeed a few genuine ancient coins among them. In the past, our Southern Song small coins were considered valuable treasures, yet who would have thought that in the millennium, tens of thousands would be unearthed, rendering them utterly worthless. How easily the hearts of old friends can change. Once we called them little treasures, now we refer to them as mere trash. It appeared that these tube coins held no value whatsoever. Whoever purchased them would be throwing their money into the abyss. I shook my head and returned the screwdriver. At that moment, the viewers in the live stream let out a collective sigh of relief. Tube money is sold by weight. 1 tube for 1,000 yuan. Might as well just go rob a bank. That owner is taking advantage of the young lady's inexperience. He's clearly trying to swindle her. Thank goodness the host hasn't fallen for it. I continued to stroll through the shop, inspecting the displays in an orderly fashion. My ears were filled with the voices of counterfeit goods until a jarring tone of translation emerged amidst the cacophony. It was critiquing the music playing in the shop. The owner, trying to cater to contemporary trends, had chosen a popular song. "We shall go to romantic Turkey, then to Tokyo and Paris." The translated voice chimed in, "Oh dear God, those 3 places? None of them are on the way." Having journeyed from distant Europe, no one understands geography better than I. I truly miss Lightning Ridge, where we, the natural black opals, should be. Lightning Ridge? That is the origin of the world's most expensive opal varieties. 2. I turned my gaze toward the source of the voice. It was a gemstone ring speaking to me. The ring's face was adorned with a dark gray stone, encrusted with dust due to neglect, its appearance rather dull. I had plucked it from a disarray of miscellaneous curios. The shopkeeper, whose attitude had slightly improved due to my purchase of a tube of coins, glanced at the ring and promptly relegated me back to the ranks of novice collectors. For a mere 100 yuan, the ring became mine. The live streaming room erupted in murmurs of disbelief, with many asserting that such an item could be found abundantly in a 2 yuan store. Yet in high spirits, I clutched the ring and made my way to Chuizhenge, a mere half a street away. As a cradle of antique collectors, Lilakang undoubtedly housed establishments dedicated to the appraisal and acquisition of antiques, with Chuizhenge being the largest among them, boasting a century-old reputation. "I am the most dashing figure on this street," I proclaimed. "Look here, a genuine piece from the Song dynasty. Not for sale." The haughty voice came from the ancient jade door knocker at Chuizhenge's entrance. A true relic from the Song dynasty, crafted from high-grade jade, intricately carved within. It was indeed precious, especially in a street where genuine items were a rare find. This served as a means for the century-old establishment to display its prestige and capabilities. Behold, such a precious artifact gracing my entrance, as a door knocker elevated my status instantly. Ignoring the knocker's haughty remarks, I stepped inside the shop. Extending my palm, I presented the ring to the proprietor. "A natural black opal from Lightning Ridge. May I inquire about its worth?" The proprietor, who had been polishing a walnut, set it aside and took the ring, scrutinizing it closely. He then summoned a younger appraiser from the store, who examined the ring's color-changing effect under a tenfold magnifying glass. Meanwhile, the live-streaming comments flooded in. "The serious demeanor of this young lady is utterly hilarious. Natural black opal? With a ring of 2 yuan store quality, she speaks her wild claims with such authority, one might think her tongue could turn deer into horses." They mocked my audacity with various jibes. Alas, the slap of reality arrived swiftly. The appraiser set down the magnifying glass. "Indeed, it is Lightning Ridge opal, 6 carats. Our store can offer you 650,000. Without hesitation, I agreed to the deal. The transaction was completed, and 650,000 yuan was transferred in real time. Viewers in the live stream were left dumbfounded. A seemingly inconspicuous broken ring had turned into a windfall of hundreds of thousands. How precious was this stone? I shrugged, urging everyone to remain calm. Black opal is inherently the most expensive variety among opals, and the finest black opal from the best origin is even pricier than diamonds. Regrettably, it is only 6 carats. Had it been a raw stone of black opal, the price would soar 100-fold. The live stream erupted in chaos. "Regretful? From 100 to 650,000, and you dare utter regret? Everyone bear witness. I have a MMP that I'm unsure whether to voice." To the one above, such cloudiness indeed. As I observed the comments filled with envy, a commotion erupted from a shop about 10 meters away. I saw 2 or 3 groups of people emerge from the store, tugging at each other, while a crowd of onlookers gathered. I stepped over to investigate. 3. At the center of the commotion stood a middle-aged man in his 40s, dressed like a farmer. He wore simple clothing and exuded a wholesome demeanor. He clutched a package tightly in his arms, being forcefully pulled by the irate shopkeeper. The shopkeeper vociferously complained, "You, sir, are truly lacking in decorum. We had agreed on a price. Why the sudden change of heart?" The farmer struggled, insisting, "I'm not selling. Not selling." The shopkeeper's face darkened with anger. "You should inquire about the customs of our Lilakang. Once a price is agreed upon, there is no room for last-minute changes. Today, I demand that item." As he spoke, he yanked at the nylon string binding the package, causing several yuan coins to tumble out. The farmer immediately bent to retrieve them, but the shopkeeper was quicker, snatching them up and pocketing them. "How can you steal from me?" the farmer exclaimed in distress. The shopkeeper produced 10 or so 100 yuan bills, thrusting them toward him. "Who says I've stolen? Here's your money, and I'll take the rest of the silver dollars, not a single cent less for you." Yet the farmer, unyielding, gathered his package back together, resolutely declaring he wouldn't sell. He forcefully shoved past the shopkeeper and strode away. The shopkeeper, though begrudging, found himself helpless in front of the gathering crowd. This little episode had drawn a considerable number of spectators. Most left after witnessing the spectacle, but a few individuals hastily followed in the direction the farmer had taken. Among them was myself. Upon catching up with the farmer, several of us expressed interest in inspecting his goods, promising negotiable prices. Some even offered bids several times higher than the previous shopkeepers. Tempted by the high offers, the farmer reluctantly opened his package, revealing dozens of silver dollars from various years and types from the Republic era. I remained silent, listening as the bids escalated. Just as the farmer finally relented and agreed to sell a few coins, a voice suddenly interjected to halt the proceedings. "Everyone, remember to remain cautious. Do not be fooled." Turning around, I recognized 2 individuals who had also been part of the onlooking crowd. One was tall and exuded an exceptional aura, even obscured by sunglasses, a mask, and a hat. He stood out distinctly in the throng. It was not he who spoke, but the older gentleman beside him. Dressed in a Zhongshan suit and sporting reading glasses, he exuded the air of a seasoned expert. The farmer's expression shifted, while the nearby buyers appeared puzzled. The elder expert pointed at the farmer, chuckling. This individual is in cahoots with the shopkeeper from earlier, orchestrating a ruse to ensnare all of you. Their earlier performance created the illusion that the coins in the package are genuine. Unaware of the deception, buyers with money in hand would then be tempted to approach and purchase the goods, only to fall victim to the scam. The nearby buyers collectively paled, hurling disdain at the farmer and repeatedly expressing their gratitude to the elder expert. The live stream comments exploded, regarding the layers of deception on Antique Street. This farmer, with his thick brows and bright eyes, turns out to be such a character. Thank goodness for the elder expert's righteous warning, otherwise, the host would have fallen for the trick. The elder expert basked in the gratitude and admiration of the crowd, while the farmer sought to make a discreet exit. I, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. While these silver dollars are indeed replicas, they are complete in terms of years. As artifacts, they are quite appealing. Would you sell the entire package for 500? The farmer's eyes darted. 1,000. I replied, agreed. Handing over 1,000 yuan, I acquired the package of silver dollars, while the farmer hurriedly departed without a backward glance. Purchasing a heap of fake silver dollars for 1,000 yuan was rather audacious, leaving everyone perplexed and the elder expert somewhat apprehensive. Yet, they were unaware that I had overheard the nylon string binding the package grumbling. It is said that high mountains and flowing waters encounter kindred spirits. Alas, my illustrious family heirloom from the craft of loot-making has fallen to such a fate. The unparalleled ice silkworm string is now reduced to a mere binding cord. What a pity! What a lament! For, as the crowd dispersed, the elder expert, feeling slighted, couldn't he resist chiding me once more. Young lady, I've just informed you that it's a deceptive ploy. Why spend 1,000 yuan on a pile of rubbish? I smiled. This is not rubbish. For 1,000 yuan, I've made a substantial find. The elder expert's expression hardened, while the striking, mysterious gentleman beside him scrutinized the package in my hands, looking puzzled. It seemed the elder expert was keen to prove his discernment, adamant that I had not struck gold. Thus, I proposed, since that is the case, why not join us at the Chuajian Pavilion for an appraisal, my dear lady? I had intended to go there anyway, so I nodded in agreement. The three of us arrived at the entrance of the Chuajian Pavilion. Upon seeing the object in my hand, the door knocker, which had previously exuded an air of arrogance, transformed into an obsequious herald. The young lady has arrived. All idle folk, step aside. The proprietor, noticing the bundle I was carrying, expressed his astonishment. Have you already unearthed treasures in such a brief period, my lady? Beside him, an elderly expert anxiously sought confirmation. This young lady has purchased dozens of silver dollars. After stating this, he awaited me to unveil the coins from my bundle. However, I merely smiled slightly, saying, who said I was here to appraise silver dollars? Simultaneously, amidst the astonished gazes of everyone present, I untied the nylon string that bound the package and handed it to the proprietor. Would you kindly authenticate this? The proprietor accepted it, his face adorned with questions. As he tugged at it, his brow furrowed in contemplation. After several more tugs, his eyes widened in disbelief, prompting him to summon the appraisers in the shop. The elderly expert also sensed something unusual. With my permission, the appraiser grasped one end of the string, which measured nearly 3 feet in length, wrapping both ends several times around his palms before pulling with all his might. The nylon string exhibited astonishing resilience, returning to its original state while emitting a whistling hum, an echo of ancient resonance that lingered. When subjected to fire, it remained unscathed. The elderly expert gasped, and the young gentleman beside him, even through his sunglasses, could not hide his intense gaze upon me. After finalizing the transaction, we exited the shop. The once proud door knocker now expressed utmost respect. We bid farewell to the young lady. Yet, I was halted by the young gentleman. The atmosphere in the live stream room was even more fervent than when I had just stumbled upon a great find. Host, haven't you recognized who this handsome gentleman is? It's Gu Chen-si. I knew he looked familiar. Even with his face wrapped so tightly, one could tell he was a stunning figure. I heard he recently joined a variety show related to national treasures. No wonder he's here. Gu Chen-si graciously removed his mask and sunglasses, smiling as he said, It's me. I wanted to learn more about related knowledge before participating in that show. The moment this popular young star's face appeared on screen, it ignited a surge of viewers in my live stream. The audience drawn in by my 1,000 yuan fine paled in comparison to those captivated at this moment.
Oh.
What a world that values appearances. Along with the rising viewership came a torrent of gifts, fireworks, cannons, and super rockets inundating the screen, as if they were of no cost. Simultaneously, I understood Gu Qinxi's intention in calling out to me. He wished to invite me to an antique exchange and auction event. It was common for celebrities to earn millions in a day from participating in variety shows, but it was rare for one to invest time in learning in advance. As for me, with this newfound insight, I could easily focus on uncovering treasures. The reason I chose to livestream was for recognition and networking. Just as Gu Qinxi mentioned, this exchange and auction event is a gateway to connections. I was eager to attend such a high-level gathering of collectors and enthusiasts, though I hadn't anticipated the opportunity would arise so swiftly. Thus, we agreed, setting the date for 3 days hence. The venue was not in an antique market, but within the courtyard of a private collector. Outside the courtyard, bamboo groves concealed the surroundings, while within, intricately painted beams and carved rafters adorned the structure. The dark tiles and blue bricks, along with the arched eaves, formed a picturesque setting. The aged Nanmu wood railing curved along the winding paths, exuding an air of antiquity and sophistication. This courtyard, situated at the foot of the imperial city, was already of astronomical value. If I were to livestream, the comments would undoubtedly explode. However, such a private auction would not be conducive to streaming. After all, I had spotted several luxury cars with consecutive license plate numbers, and many private collectors would be reluctant to publicly showcase their prized possessions. As Gu Qinxi and I entered the reception hall, we encountered the renowned collector, Mr. Ma. Mr. Ma began his treasure-hunting journey long before the Lioli factory was inundated with genuine official kiln pieces. To my surprise, this esteemed predecessor recognized me immediately and greeted me warmly, complimenting my discerning eye. Other collectors joined in the banter, teasing that while even Mr. Ma struggled to find true artifacts in the Lioli factory, I had managed to uncover treasures one after another. Mr. Ma was holding 2 polished lion head walnuts and cheerfully remarked that today's auction items were rather unremarkable. And given that all present were connoisseurs, it would be quite challenging to find any hidden gems. The playful teasing resumed, with many suggesting that Mr. Ma had come specifically to see who could uncover treasures better than me. After brief introductions and pleasantries, the auction commenced swiftly. The initial items were coral bracelets and ivory pipes, luxurious goods with traceable provenance. Once sold abroad through maritime trade, they had now returned to the domestic market, yet their prices had multiplied countless times. The opening bids were steep, offering no room for bargains. Mr. Ma remained inactive, and Gu Qinxi showed no apparent interest until the 3rd round of items was presented, at which point his eyes lit up. It was a porcelain bowl with a yellow base and green glaze, adorned with 2 azure dragons on its walls, while the rest of the bowl was embellished with fierce flames, fully decorated. The white base bore a double-line 6-character inscription reading made in the Chenghua period of the Ming dynasty. The starting price was 300,000, with a minimum bidding increment of 100,000. The price climbed swiftly toward nearly $1 million, and Gu Qinxi appeared eager to participate. I inquired about his confidence, and he, unable to conceal the excitement in his eyes, whispered, "The 6-character inscription is converging toward the center, and the curves are sharp and precise. It bears the hallmarks of Chenghua porcelain." He then pointed to the bowl's smooth surface, showcasing its lustrous glaze. The porcelain sheen exudes the fire of the kiln from its recent creation. Known as firelight, only through the tempering and sedimentation of time can such a warm, jade-like glow be cultivated. If it were a counterfeit, even with various methods to eliminate the firelight, it could only yield a dull sheen. The bowl's luster is evidently that of a treasured artifact. He looked at me expectantly, as if seeking praise. Indeed, this young star had acquired considerable knowledge about antiques, and his words held substance. "Alas," I replied, "your statement is both correct and incorrect." Gu Qinxi was taken aback, puzzled by my words. I lowered my voice, saying, "The characteristics of the inscription can be replicated and learned, while the treasure light merely indicates it was indeed crafted in an ancient kiln, not a modern counterfeit." Gu Qinxi opened his mouth, hesitantly asking, "Then what should we really look for?" I pointed to the bowl's wall. "The dragon. In our dragon nation, any item bearing a dragon can be authenticated simply by examining the dragon's form and demeanor depicted upon it. The dragon is the spiritual emblem of our culture. The inhabitants of this land refer to themselves as descendants of the dragon. The dragons depicted on artifacts from various dynasties are intrinsically linked to the rise and fall of those eras. Every artifact commissioned by founding emperors, whether crafted from gold, stone, jade, or porcelain, invariably features dragons depicted with an exuberance and majesty that commands attention. Conversely, as dynasties decline, the representations of dragons often exhibit a feeble and listless demeanor. The Chenghua Emperor, a sovereign of remarkable governance, stabilized the chaos wrought by his predecessors and secured the tranquility of the Ming dynasty. Thus, the dragons adorning artifacts from the Chenghua period exude a serene and unfurling grace. In stark contrast, the dragon depicted on the porcelain bowl before me is rigid and lifeless, bereft of any vitality, clearly a counterfeit. Upon hearing my observations, Gu Qinxi's eyes widened in astonishment, revealing that in his perception, I had transcended from mere mortal to a figure of divine insight. I remarked, how terrifying. To be compelled to impersonate a true dragon amidst such fierce wrath of the emperor is akin to being roasted over flames. I was wrong, profoundly wrong. From the outset, it was a grievous error to transport clay from Jingdezhen. Had it never arrived, I could have avoided this life of constant anxiety. I continued to prattle on, igniting a fervor in Master Ma, who, after several rounds of bidding, successfully acquired a piece of calligraphy for 30,000. He returned the fan to its ornate box and declared, "My lady, do not leave empty-handed. Select a couple of items." This was a challenge issued to me. Unfortunately, after several more rounds, the items either went to the highest bidder or were left unsold, and I refrained from making a purchase until a half-height marble statue was presented, capturing my interest. Surprised by my fascination, Master Ma remarked, "I unearthed this piece from Europa a few years back. It has appeared at auction several times, but has always gone unsold." Such a fate was hardly unexpected, for the figure depicted was none other than Lord Elgin. Ultimately, I procured the statue for 20,000. By the conclusion of this intimate auction, neither Master Ma nor I had made additional bids. Thus each of us had secured but one item. Given that the final highlight of the auction was merely a Yongjing imitation of a Dotsai chicken cup, all eyes were fixed upon us, one a legendary bargain hunter, the other an emerging talent. The audience was eager to discern whose acquisition would shine brighter that day. Leading to a creative proposal, we would each appraise the other's items. As I opened Master Ma's ornate box to reveal the calligraphy, I examined the verses, along with the faded and partially obscured marks and inscriptions. I swiftly deduced its origin, a work by Qian Qianni. Nods of approval rippled through the crowd, confirming my insight. Next came the appraisal. With no comparable auction records in the market, its value hinged entirely on my judgment. After a moment's contemplation, I stated, as a literary figure of the Yushan Poetic School, his works start at 100,000. Furthermore, considering the well-known love story with Lu Rushi, one of the 8 beauties of Qinhuai, an additional 100,000. Master Ma escalated his bid from 30,000 to 200,000, a near 7-fold increase. He was quite pleased with my valuation until I added, regrettably, the water is quite cold, and the head is quite itchy. Deducting 200,000 seems fair. Does it not? I had effectively rendered the item's value from positive to negative. Master Ma laughed in disbelief. My lady, according to your assessment, I not only stand to gain nothing but must also incur a loss of 200,000? Laughter erupted among the others. Yet, Gu Qinxi cast me worried glances, anxious for me. The reason was clear. If my valuation standard held, the statue I had purchased would likely result in a loss reaching the Mariana Trench. To introduce a historical anecdote, the British Empire once severed numerous marble sculptures from the Parthenon and transported them back to their homeland. These sculptures encapsulate the essence of classical Greek art, and Greece has repeatedly demanded their return, with the British Empire steadfastly refusing, leading to decades of disputes. The marble used in the statue I purchased likely originated from those very sculptures taken from the temple. The reasons for such material usage are twofold: the vast quantity of sculptures and remnants removed from the temple, and, more significantly, the identity of the figure depicted, Lord Elgin, infamous in our nation's history. His family is notorious for plundering the ancient Greek temple, while his son infamously ordered the burning of the old summer palace. Like the calligraphy, this statue also lacked a competitive auction history, rendering its valuation particularly challenging. Master Ma noted, the materials and craftsmanship are exceptional. From an artistic perspective, it could fetch around 200,000. However, based on your earlier standards, he added with a resigned smile, let us leave it to the audience. Given the national grievances and personal vendettas, could this statue even be appraised? Only total destruction could quell the public's wrath. I remained noncommittal and requested a hammer, declaring, "Then let us simply smash it." Gasps filled the room. No one anticipated my decisive action. Many urged me to reconsider, suggesting that despite its ominous aura, it could yield significant returns at European auctions. I shook my head with a smile, gripping the hammer tightly. The Western statue before me was incessantly clamoring, its incessant noise grating on my nerves. Consider my noble Anglo-Saxon heritage. What do you yellow-skinned folk understand? The statue's tone dripped with condescension, reminiscent of its past arrogance during the looting of the Parthenon. Suddenly, a sharp reprimand emanated from within the statue. Shameless rodents. There is an old adage in our land, a rat's offspring will dig a hole. What of your so-called Elgin family, but a band of thieves? Forever condemned to the annals of disgrace. The statue's retort struck a nerve, eliciting an equally scathing response. History is penned by the victors. Have you not learned from the 3-day inferno that consumed the old summer palace? I felt a surge of indignation as the voice within the statue rose in fury, accompanied by a thunderous echo. Our nation possesses another saying: justice will prevail, and retribution will be certain. In the 3rd year following your son's command to burn the old summer palace, he was struck by a bolt of lightning, consumed by flames for 3 days and nights, leaving only charred remains. The wheel of fate turns inexorably. How fittingly scathing. I could only respond in kind. With unwavering resolve, I raised the hammer. The statue, taken aback by my determination, let out a terrified scream. "Do not come near me." With a resounding crack, it lost its chance to speak. The marble crumbled beneath my relentless blows, cascading down in a shower of debris. Wait, am I seeing things? Is that a reddish-yellow glow? I see it too. As the luminosity expanded, it became apparent that something was hidden within the statue. All present at the scene gathered around, and soon, the true form of a brass dragon head was revealed. Master Ma, who had been half-bowed, nearly fell to the ground, panting heavily, his hands trembling as he cautioned, "Be careful, don't damage it." He was evidently concerned that my vigorous hammering might ruin what lay within. I smiled reassuringly. "Fear not, I am well aware." The meticulously crafted alloy bronze, infused with various precious metals, was remarkably sturdy. Unless subjected to extreme force, it would bear no marks of impact whatsoever. Indeed, concealed within the Elgin marble statue was none other than the dragon head from the 12 animal heads of the Summer Palace. The dragon head's words rang true. Justice prevails, and the cycle of fate is inescapable. Its hiding within this statue was both an unexpected twist and a logical conclusion. Elgin was the very executioner who had ordered the fires that ravaged and plundered countless treasures from the Summer Palace, and they had the audacity to conceal the dragon head within a marble statue. A dragon head from the Summer Palace, marble from the Parthenon. A display and commemoration of their family's achievements. However, it could never escape the might of my Mjolnir. Not a soul dared to mention the contest between Master Ma and myself again. Master Ma's expression was a perplexing blend of laughter and tears. And if it were laughter, it was more grotesque than any sorrow. Having devoted 40 years to my antique collection, who would have thought an eagle would peck my eye out, allowing you, my dear girl, to seize such a grand opportunity? With that, he gave me a thumbs up. As for the dragon head, selling it was out of the question. Without a moment's hesitation, I decided to donate it to the nation. Prior to my action, there had been patriots who had donated after acquiring the animal heads at auction, so when the media clamored for interviews, I simply responded, "I am honored to contribute to the return of our national treasures." Yet, in my heart, I was silently calculating how many more statues remained unreturned. Observing my actions, a certain influential figure at the auction relayed some information to me, suggesting that there might be news of another animal head at a storage market in America. Behold, this is the power of connections. Thus, the following day, I once again commenced a live broadcast, and viewers were astonished to discover that I had already arrived in California. Across the ocean. Goodness, it's only been a few days, and she's already left the country? Is this the legendary power of wealth? Off to the foggy city to feed pigeons, then to California for a culinary escapade. When will I be able to live such a life? What is our dear lady up to now? I circled the row of storage units behind me, showcasing them to the camera. This is a storage auction site in California. I then briefly introduced the culture of storage auctions in America. Each year, numerous private storage units are auctioned off for overdue payments, and the successful bidder obtains all the items within. This represents a distinctly American style of treasure hunting, akin to unboxing a mystery box. Within could lie dusty treasures or heaps of refuse that even cockroaches would disdain. Should it be the latter, not only would the cost of the storage unit be lost, but one would also incur a hefty fee for waste disposal. After sharing my insights, the comments section exploded with enthusiasm. Our Lady is formidable, stepping beyond borders and into the world. Let us all shout together. Empty out the West. Empty out the West. You can do it, lady. This particular storage auction site was located in an affluent area of California, thus the base prices were relatively high, filtering out a portion of lower-tier treasure hunters. Even so, as the only young Asian female present amidst a sea of predominantly white and black men, I felt akin to a lamb lost among wolves. The gazes fixed upon me were either inquisitive or laced with less than noble intentions. Hey girl, my buddy Sam over here has a soft spot for girls like you. Laughter erupted in response. Indeed, he has a severe case of yellow fever. You should get to know him. This isn't place for a little lamb like you. Did you see that bar over there? They serve excellent cocktails. Come have a drink with me after this. Suddenly, several imposing Asian men stepped forward from behind me, their robust physiques and bulging muscles immediately intimidating the others, who backed away while mumbling about the prowess of the Dragon Kingdom's martial arts. As if it were a joke, this is America, where one can procure items for free. Naturally, I would ensure my security measures were foolproof. A few minutes later, the auctioneer, Mr. Cooper, made his entrance, a man in his 40s. He clearly held considerable esteem among the storage hunters. Upon his arrival, the crowd fell silent. Before commencing, Mr. Cooper outlined today as auction rules. All bidders would have their identities disclosed. Bidders could not enter the storage units but could observe the contents for 2 minutes from the entrance before placing their bids based on their assessments. The highest bidder would gain ownership of the items within. After the auction concluded, the successful bidder had 24 hours to clear out the unit or face a fine. Today, there were 50 storage units, grouped into 10 sets of 5. Mr. Cooper, brandishing a large keyring, led the way, with the storage hunters trailing behind him to the first group of 10 units. One by one, the doors were opened and everyone stood at the entrances, attentively scrutinizing every detail. The storage units in this affluent area were generally well maintained. Unit number 1 was a promising start, a typical family storage unit. Inside, various pieces of furniture and kitchenware were neatly arranged, and even a glimpse of a mechanical watch strap could be seen in the corner of a table. Family storage units were highly sought after by treasure hunters. The furniture and kitchenware could be directly sold in the second-hand market, and if the wood and brand were of good quality, their value could multiply. Not to mention the endless speculation and excitement that the watch strap stirred among the onlookers. In an affluent neighborhood, if a Rolex were to be found, it would be a significant profit. Greed glimmered in the eyes of the hunters at the door. Needless to say, the starting price for such a unit would not be low. Mr. Cooper announced, the starting bid is $100. The auction begins. Due to the unit's potential value, the price quickly escalated to $300. This was a critical juncture. If the furniture and kitchenware were of average quality, $500 would merely break even. Exceeding that price would imply the presence of quality wood and reputable brands. After some deliberation, a portion of the bidders opted to withdraw. However, the condition of the furniture and that tantalizing glimpse of the watch strap suggested a strong chance of finding hidden treasures, prompting more participants to take the plunge. $400, $450, $500, $900, $1,200. The one to call out this bid was a young white man who had been the most vocal earlier. He lowered his bidding arm, casting a glance around to confirm that no one would counter his offer. He then shot me a smirk. This is a coveted family storage unit, filled with valuable items. Do you think a rookie from the East can comprehend its worth? The live chat was appalled by his antics. Is the crooked-mouthed Dragon King making an appearance? Ugh. Does he think he is handsome? Let him figure it out. Dear lady, let him experience the mysterious power from the East. I shrugged, indicating he could do as he pleased. He laughed heartily, paid the amount, and accepted the key from Mr. Cooper. Though he projected confidence, his hands and feet subtly trembled. $1,200, enough for him to survive on hamburgers for a month. If his judgment failed, it would result in a significant loss. And his failure was already a foregone conclusion. As I stood at the entrance, the sounds within the warehouse resonated with clarity. This foolish fellow, spending such a fortune. I swear to God, I am merely an old watch strap. I am but a cheap cherrywood piece shift. Do you know that factory next door in California that has gone bankrupt? That's where I was produced. I wonder where my equally unfortunate brethren are now. These voices indicated that the total value of the items in warehouse number 1 barely exceeded $300. Indeed, just 2 minutes later, the white youth who had inspected the items let out a heart-wrenching roar of indignation. Warehouse number 2 was even more perplexing. While only a segment of a watch strap was visible before, here stood an entire antique clock. What a magnificent timepiece it was, in the style of Louis XV. If this clock were authentic, then its porcelain would originate from Germany's renowned Meissen porcelain. The gilded portions would hail from the sunless empire's foggy capital, a recipient of the Gilded Horse Racing Award in the 1830s. At this moment, the bidders felt the exhilarating thrill of gambling, one step to heaven, another to hell. If they guessed correctly, their worth would skyrocket. If they lost, 3 years of toil would be for naught. Everyone strained their eyes, striving to capture any detail of the antique clock. Alas, 2 minutes slipped away in an instant, not to mention the distance. Even if one held the clock in hand for a meticulous examination, an accurate judgment would still elude them. Yet I distinctly heard, "Pa, who says I'm 200 years old? I'm barely in my 20s. You mentioned the manufacturer's emblem? The patent code? They are all fakes, okay?" I quietly observed as the second victim fell into the trap, none other than the lecherous man who proclaimed himself to have yellow fever. Listening to his pig-like wails, I smiled and remarked, "Deservedly so." Instantly, the screen was inundated with tips like falling snowflakes. I love watching the face-slapping segments. The lady's words are so sharp. I adore it. Even the Ox Demon King is but a plowman before her. Wow, the top donor is showering arrows of gold. Such wealth. I glanced at the top donor's name, quite amusingly titled the Arctic Emperor. Just then, the already bustling live stream was flooded with new viewers. After enjoying the spectacle, many began to worry whether I would leave empty-handed this time. The same concerns echoed from the auction site. 4 warehouses had been opened in succession, yet none yielded anything of value, leaving 4 bidders disappointed. The discontented murmurs grew louder. They promised us storage from the affluent district, with starting bids so high. Yet all we see are trash. Indeed. Mr. Cooper, what on earth is going on? Heaven help me, last week I secured a garbage warehouse for $1. And there was even a acacia massage chair inside. Why then is the affluent district's warehouse like this? Faced with the inquiries, Cooper maintained a stern demeanor. "Gentlemen, as bidders, you ought to understand the principle of willing to gamble and accept the loss, no? Moreover, each of the 4 warehouses contained items of value. It is merely your expectations that are too high, while your discerning eyes do not keep pace. According to association regulations, any troublemakers will be expelled." His words restored a semblance of order. Cooper opened the 5th warehouse and turned to the individual who had just claimed good finds in a garbage warehouse, wearing a mocking expression. Indeed, the 5th warehouse turned out to be a true garbage dump. The floor was littered with refuse, and in the back, 2 cabinets could be vaguely seen, covered with plastic sheets, revealing significant damage on their tops, to the extent that even second-hand markets would refuse to take them. A garbage warehouse is the bane of warehouse hunters. While the occasional lucky find occurs, the overwhelming majority of cases result in incurring disposal fees. Clearly, this was a space used by a resident of the affluent district to store refuse. Here, even the colors of garbage bags must be sorted, and regulations are particularly strict, with fines imposed at the slightest infraction. Thus, many choose to rent a warehouse for around $10 specifically for this purpose, which is both convenient and economical. Cooper's expression was easy to interpret. Weren't you just boasting about finding treasures in a garbage warehouse? Well, here's your chance. Yet that individual's enthusiasm had waned. Having learned from the bitter lessons of the previous 4 warehouses, confidence in uncovering hidden treasures had significantly diminished. Cooper set the starting bid at $5. In other places, garbage warehouses typically start at just $1. Why then is garbage in the affluent district deemed more precious? Yet, in Cooper's presence, no one dared to provoke him, remaining silent. Cooper called out $5 for a 3rd time. Finally, I spoke up. "I'll take it." The group beside me regarded me with astonished expressions. Cooper inquired if anyone wished to raise the bid, his gaze toward me filled with confusion. One individual cautiously called out $6. I immediately smiled brightly at him, my face brimming with excitement. $10. He gulped. $11. I countered with lightning speed and directly escalated the bid to $50. Under my expectant gaze, he weakly added $1, bringing it to $51. I disdainfully clicked my tongue. $100. My expression clearly conveyed, "Come on, raise the bid with me." The individual was nearly at his wit's end. The onlookers were bewildered by my unorthodox strategy. She's scheming. She didn't even observe carefully. She's a complete novice. Oh God, don't fall for her trap. She's waiting for you to keep raising the price, only to withdraw herself, and you'll be the one to suffer. This is revenge for our earlier rudeness. Damn it, don't follow her. Yes, let her be buried under the garbage. Their back-and-forth chatter muddled that individual's thoughts. Coupled with my aggressive demeanor, he ultimately cracked, exclaiming tearfully, "I give up." The live stream erupted with waves of 666. We've played this strategic game for 5,000 years. Dealing with you is a piece of cake. I wager there must be something valuable within. Everyone, take a guess at the probability of this coward being vanquished by the host lady's gaze. This deal is sealed. I guess 3 to 7. In 3 minutes, the lady will utterly defeat him 7 times. Wow, the one above is ruthless. A tattoo of Satan on your back. No one was in a rush to check the next warehouse. After all, witnessing a $100 garbage warehouse was a first for them. Once the refuse on the floor was cleared, the available space widened considerably. Within, I discovered 2 items that left them utterly flabbergasted. The first emerged from a wardrobe. Most of its contents were checkered shirts and work pants, utterly worthless. The live stream audience humorously suggested that it undoubtedly belonged to a programmer. Some even urged me to search for a wig. Yet in one clean compartment of the wardrobe, I unearthed a flowing white dress. The moment I revealed it, everyone gasped in astonishment. The design of this dress is iconic, symbolizing one of cinema's hallmark moments, Marilyn Monroe standing atop a subway grate, the wind billowing her skirt. This was none other than the legendary Monroe dress. The crowd exclaimed in awe, calling upon the heavens. The second item was a biography of Alan Turing found in a bookcase. Turing? The father of computers? Haha, the programmer's evidence. Is there anything remarkable about this book? I swiftly flipped to a page over 40 pages in, discovering a handwritten alphanumeric sequence tucked within a narrow gap. I did not keep them in suspense but promptly explained. This string of characters is, in fact, a Bitcoin public key. The cryptocurrency realm is undeniably ablaze, giving rise to countless millionaires, a fact that needs no elaboration. Bitcoin is characterized by the distinction between public and private keys. The public key can be likened to a bank card, while the private key serves as the card's password. As for determining the balance of this virtual bank account, it is a mere matter of logging onto the Bitcoin official website and entering the public key. Not only can one ascertain the quantity of Bitcoin held within the account, but also the number of transactions and their respective amounts. Some individuals are left astonished by this sudden shift in atmosphere, while others have already inundated the comment section with their findings. The public key account astonishingly holds 203 Bitcoins. I can't believe it. What is the current trading price of Bitcoin today? 28,000 each. So that's over 5 million? It's akin to winning a grand prize. Incredible. Hold on, the 28,000 is in USD. That means over 40 million? The aftermath of a sow's care is shockingly profound. The bewilderment among the foreign onlookers is palpable. With Cooper's gaze reflecting sheer astonishment, akin to being struck by lightning, I reassured him this is merely the public key. Without the private key, not a penny can be retrieved. Finding the private key is akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. I gestured for the highly paid security personnel to collect the skirts and books, while also ensuring that the entire set of 12 bronze animal heads from the old summer palace was carefully packed away. With a flourish of my sleeve, I departed in my raptor-themed pickup truck under the dazed gaze of the crowd. 2 days later, front-page headlines emerged from the Eastern superpower. Marilyn Monroe's iconic flying skirt was set to grace this year's Christie's autumn auction, with an anticipated selling price that promised to shatter historical records. Shortly thereafter, it was discovered that upon logging into that public key, the Bitcoin within the account had been mysteriously sold, with a transaction timestamp coinciding precisely with my arrival back in the country. Speculation ran rampant, with many asserting that the enigmatic seller was none other than myself. Growing weary of the inquiries, I disclosed my transaction history, detailing the timing to the second and the amounts to 2 decimal places. Everything was impeccably precise, leaving no room for doubt. Indeed, by sheer serendipity, I had fortuitously unearthed the private key within that very biography. My luck was beyond comprehension, and I could only shrug in resignation. The final revelation sent shockwaves. A certain mysterious benefactor had generously donated the sheep head of the 12 zodiac animal heads to the National Museum. Why was there no change in pronouns? Again, The term mysterious benefactor was used, clearly pointing in my direction. Yes, it was indeed I. When I first laid eyes upon that row of animal head artifacts in the rubbish warehouse, a voice, weathered by time, echoed, "To what extent does nostalgia linger? When shall I return to my homeland?" Months swiftly passed. The popularity of my live broadcast soared, with viewer counts skyrocketing to the millions at the mere onset of each stream. Some fans who had initially tuned in to watch me scavenge for treasures now proudly identified themselves as longtime supporters. Today marks yet another day of slacking at work while watching the streamer strike it rich. Boss, you upstairs, aren't you afraid of being caught by your employer? With such a meager salary, I intend to show him what cheap truly means. The lovely streamer has already achieved several small financial goals. Do share your thoughts with us. I pondered for a moment before replying. Money can indeed resolve 99% of life's challenges. The barrage of comments erupted with shouts of, "Oh wow," and malicious flaunting of wealth. Let us end this. Yet, what they failed to comprehend was that I spoke from the depths of my heart. Throughout this period, through my deliberate search efforts, I had gradually acquired 3 of the animal heads via treasure hunting or auctions. However, the last monkey head remained elusive, shrouded in mystery. My particular interest in these 12 animal heads was not without reason. The turning point arrived suddenly. One day, the head of the National Museum contacted me, revealing that a societal donation had been made, the very monkey head I had long sought after, donated by none other than Gu Qinxi. The donation ceremony was scheduled to coincide with the premiere of a variety show titled Guardians of National Treasures. Gu Qinxi, as the inaugural guardian of national treasures, introduced the legacy of the Yang-style Lei architectural lineage. Yang-style Lei, a master craftsman family responsible for 20% of the world-class architectural heritage of the Dragon Kingdom. A royal architect of the Qing dynasty. For over 2 centuries, every royal top-tier structure has emerged from this family's hands. The Forbidden City, the Summer Palace, the Mountain Resort, the Temple of Heaven, the Old Summer Palace. As he narrated, corresponding architectural images graced the screen. When the Old Summer Palace was mentioned, all that was left were crumbling walls and ruins. I fixated on the screen, as Gu Qinxi's deep, resonant voice recounted. In 1860, that conflagration raged for 3 days. As the royal soldiers abandoned their posts in panic, over a dozen members of the Yang-style Lei family rose to resist, determined to preserve the garden blueprints. Ultimately, the palaces they had designed perished in the flames. No matter how many times I heard this tale, my heart remained unsettled. In a moment of distraction, Gu Qinxi's voice echoed once more, "Yet I firmly believe, with painstaking craftsmanship, the traces of the flames may yet be soothed." Upon hearing this final phrase, I was momentarily taken aback. Could it truly be him? My next encounter with Gu Qinxi occurred 3 months after the show aired, at the original site of the Haiyan Hall in the Old Summer Palace. The former site had been reduced to greenery, scattered stones, wild trees, and a pool of stagnant water. Yet now, at noon, the 12 animal heads simultaneously erupted with water, refracting a kaleidoscope of colors in the sunlight, creating ripples reminiscent of giant shell-shaped sculptures. At the juncture of the stone steps, verdant pines stood tall. The interplay of light and shadow between the white walls and blue eaves sparkled vibrantly, revealing a plethora of grandeur. With the 12 animal heads restored to their rightful positions, it took 3 months to finally recreate the magnificent spectacle of the fountain from yesteryears. Gu Qinxi and I quietly admired the view for a while. Then, I posed 3 questions to him. "Where did you find that sheep head?" Gu Qinxi replied, "From a private collector overseas. I happened to receive the information through connections. Otherwise, such non-auction, non-exhibition items are exceedingly difficult to track down." I nodded and continued. "The top supporter in my live stream, the Arctic Emperor, is you, isn't it?" Gu Qinxi appeared startled. "You guessed it?" I retorted. "Was it that hard to guess? Chen refers to the sun, moon, and stars. Si signifies governance. Together, it suggests the stewardship of celestial bodies, and the Arctic Emperor fulfills that role." Having said this, I produced an ornament from around my neck. Suspended from a red silk thread was a small black lacquered ancient bronze knife pendant. It is somewhat unusual for a young lady to wear such an accessory. Gu Qinxi's face reflected astonishment as he inquired, "Is that you?" In the Dragon Kingdom, there exists an ancient and enigmatic profession known as the creditor of knives. They lend items without selling them. With each item lent, a prophecy is left behind, to be fulfilled before payment is requested. Fast forward over a century. The Lei family, who perished in the fire at the old summer palace, had one final orphan who was relocated to a farmhouse in the northern outskirts of the imperial city, where he survived. When he reached 7 or 8 years of age, a creditor of knives visited the village. Before this farmhouse, the creditor produced a black lacquered ancient bronze knife pendant and left behind a prophecy. With painstaking craftsmanship, the traces of the flames may yet be soothed. As time passed and eras changed, the once humble village transformed into a bustling metropolis of towering edifices, while the profession of the creditor of knives faded into the annals of history. This pendant, however, was passed down through 4 generations until it reached my hands. At the time, the prophecy held little meaning for me. Upon awakening the ability to read the thoughts of objects on the day of my 18th birthday, the gears of fate began to turn. Gu Chenxi, who understood this prophecy, was undoubtedly a descendant of the legendary debtor. Although the profession had vanished, the promise remained unbroken. Holding an ancient bronze knife pendant in my hand, I inquired about the price of the knife. Gu Chenxi chuckled, shrugged, and gestured towards the vast ruins park surrounding us. There's no rush. The traces of blazing flames are not solely represented by the bronze beast heads. I couldn't help but smile in response. My gaze returned to the resplendent Heiantang. Heiantang, a realm where rivers are clear and seas are calm, and the nation enjoys peace and prosperity. The 12 bronze beast heads have gathered, marking merely the beginning. The narrative concludes here. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next tale.